Hello, everyone. I have this paper about the mu variant that I wanted to go over because number one, it talks about the mu variant, which you may or may not have heard of. And also because I generally tend to believe the results of this paper. But lastly, because this paper kind of shows some of the downsides of these preprint papers. So let's go over it. The title is Ineffective Neutralization of the SARS-CoV mu variant by Convalescent and Vaccine Sera. This title is a little bit misleading because I think it would have been more accurate to say reduced effectiveness of uh, of inactivation instead of ineffective, because ineffective makes it sounds like convalescent and vaccine sera doesn't work at all against the mu variant, which is not true according to their own results. Okay, so let's look at the abstract. Um, so this mu variant is a new variant of interest, and it was found in Colombia, and it is important because what they found is when they did comparisons of the different SARS-CoV spike proteins, so they made spike proteins like the various variants. Previously, the beta variant or the South African variant, the B1351, was the most was the variant that had the most immune escape. The spike protein did not bind very well to the antibodies that were formed by either vaccines or by people that were naturally infected with COVID, which is what they mean when they say convalescent serum. It means people that had COVID, and it's the serum from those people, which means those people made antibodies naturally to getting COVID. So the beta was thought to be the worst. In their testing, they found the mu variant was even worse than the beta variant in terms of immune escape. So that's their abstract. And then if you look at the rest of the paper, it's extremely short. Yeah, it's just like 2 pages. And this is just text. Very unusual for a paper. You know, most papers have a method section, a results section, and a discussion section. This one just has like text. And I'll show you why that is kind of problematic. Um, So the mu variant represents the most recently recognized variant of interest. So the WHO considers some things as variants of concern. It's concern if they feel like it's either more transmissible, has more immune escape, has inability for us to test them, or current treatments don't work as well. Variants of interest means they've noticed this variant and it might have become a variant of concern. So the delta is a variant of concern, and so was alpha and beta, but this is a variant of interest. So it was started in Colombia. It was found in Colombia, and it is the dominant variant in Colombia. As you can see in this part, the blue represents the mu, and you see that the delta variant is starting to take over there, is becoming more dominant, which may be good news depending on how you look at this. Anyways, what they did is they they took um, they made to so it says right here to assess the sensitivity of the mu variants to antibodies produced by SARS-CoV-2 infection and vaccination, we generated pseudoviruses. So they basically made viruses that weren't real viruses. They weren't fully functional, but they made the spike proteins, and they genetically engineered these viruses, these pseudoviruses, to make spike proteins of the mu variant. And the mu variant has these following 8 mutations. T95I, so the amino acid position at 95, and then this 144 position, the 346 position, 484, 501, 614, 681, and 950. So if you've seen my previous variants of concern viruses, you know that this 484 was thought to be a very important immune escape one, and the 501 and the 614. So a lot of these are shared amongst other variants, and they mentioned this here. The 454 shared with beta and gamma, the 501 shared with alpha, the 681 shared with alpha, and 950 shared with delta. So this one has and then has some new ones that we haven't really seen before. This 95 and the 144. But anyways, they made these spike proteins of these various different variants and put them into like fake viruses, so non-competent viruses. These viruses can't really infect people. And then they tested them um, to see how well convalescents. So they took serum from people that had COVID and serum from people that were vaccinated and see how well it quote neutralized the virus. The problem is they don't say how did they create these pseudoviruses, and they don't say how they exactly tested neutralization. And one of the tenets of scientific papers is that in the methods section, you have to give enough detail that if someone had enough money and time and interest, they could exactly replicate um, your experiment. And with this paper, like I would have no idea how exactly they did it. They just give very vague um, descriptions of what they did. They just said we created a pseudovirus and then we checked to see if it was neutralized by convalescent or vaccinated serum. So it's not, it's non-repeatable. You can't, they need to give way more detail in their methods for this to be repeatable. However, let's assume that they did it correctly and they did it in a reasonable way. And what they show is that here's the convalescent serum. So these are people that naturally got COVID-19 and then recovered from it. These are people that were um, vaccinated with the Pfizer vaccine. So as you can tell, so lower uh, is worse. Lower is worse. And it shows that the beta requires a lot more of the sera to be neutralized because lower means higher concentration. So this is the titer, and this is the dilution. It's like a 1 to 20 dilution and 1 to 2,560 dilution. So, this thing, you could dilute it like 500 times and it would still neutralize this. This one, you could only dilute 80 times before it would stop neutralizing it. And then this one is even worse. So the mu is even lower than the beta, both in convalescent and in vaccinated sera. So according to their study, the mu vaccine has more immune escape in terms of antibody neutralization than the previous champion, which was beta. Now, what this means is, like, remember, I was most afraid of the beta variant becoming the dominant variant, but as it turns out, the delta variant, which doesn't have as much immune escape, became the dominant variant. Because, as it turns out, transmissibility turns out to be more important than immune escape, and delta just floods people with a lot more viral particles. So delta's become the dominant variant in most of the world, despite the fact that it doesn't have as much immune escape. And as you can see, it looks like the delta is starting to outcompete the mu even in Colombia. And mu has been found in, I think, about 39 states in the United States, but still is not the dominant variant. So even though it has the most immune escape, I don't know that it's going to become that important because the delta seems to be outcompeting it and is the most transmissible variant. But anyways, very interesting to see that the mu variant um, is more likely to escape sera. So it means that we still haven't reached the end of variants that can cause even more immune escape. If we were having convergent evolution, we would generally start finding the most fit um, viruses by having either transmissibility or by having immune escape. And it looks like we have not reached that yet. So there's probably several more variants coming down the pipeline. But the other thing is, as you can tell, this preprint, this would have never passed peer review. They just do not give enough information in the methods section for it to be repeatable by any lab. And they need to say that in the methods section. They need to say exactly how did they create these pseudoviruses, what company did they get their reagents from, what cell lines did they use, or how did they assess neutralization. They don't give any of those details, and those details need to be given in any scientific paper so that people who are interested enough can try to, if they decide that this is important enough, they can try to repeat the thing. Okay, so thanks for watching, and if you have comments, comment below.